Even by Depression-era standards, the Tennessee Valley was in sad shape in the early 1930s. So in May of 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt created the Tennessee Valley Authority to modernize the region. The TVA built dams to harness the Tennessee River. The dams controlled floods, improved navigation, and generated low-cost electricity. From revitalizing an underdeveloped part of America to becoming the nation's largest public power company, TVA continues to thrive. Today, TVA serves more than 9 million people over a 7-state area. TVA's electricity continues to be generated from hydroelectric dams, and as TVA has grown, fossil fuel plants, wind turbines, solar panels, and nuclear power plants. TVA's basic mission has not changed, but the times have changed. Today, TVA's vision is to be one of the nation's leading providers of low-cost and clean energy. That means relying more on nuclear power, relying less on coal, and sharpening their focus on energy efficiency. One way TVA is fulfilling the vision of a cleaner energy future is through increased use of nuclear energy. Let's trace TVA's nuclear history and take a virtual tour of their facilities. TVA began building nuclear power plants in the 1960s, responding to the growing prosperity of the Tennessee Valley and the rising demand for electricity. Today, TVA's 3 nuclear power plants, Browns Ferry, Sequoia, and Watts Bar, provide about 30% of TVA's power supply. The 6 operating reactors at these 3 plants provide more than 6,600 megawatts of clean, safe, and affordable electricity, enough to serve more than 3.5 million homes and numerous large industries in the Tennessee Valley. It's time to travel to TVA's Watts Bar nuclear plant in Spring City, Tennessee. Watts Bar is unique because over time it has provided power from all 3 major types of generation used by TVA. Hydroelectric and nuclear energy are used here today, and until 1983, coal was used to power a steam plant that was recently dismantled. As we approach the nuclear plant, you get your first view of the feature many people associate with a nuclear plant, the cooling towers. The water vapor, or plume, rising from one of the towers indicates that Unit 1 is operating, generating electricity we rely on every day. You'll get a closer look at these huge concrete structures a little later. From above, you can see the plant layout with 2 cylindrical concrete reactor buildings to the left, with Unit 1 being the closest to us. Watts Bar currently has 1 operating nuclear unit, with construction on Unit 2 underway. The turbine building is next to the switchyard. This is where the turbines and electric generators are located. Next to the turbine building is the control building, where operators control the nuclear reactor. Watts Bar uses a pressurized water reactor. This type of reactor is also used at their Sequoia plant in Soddy Daisy, Tennessee, and will be used at the Bellefonte plant in Hollywood, Alabama. Much like a boiling water reactor, a pressurized water reactor creates electricity using nuclear fission to create heat. But in a pressurized water reactor, the heat from the water surrounding the nuclear fuel is kept under pressure to prevent it from boiling. This hot water is piped from the reactor vessel to a steam generator, where it transfers its heat to boil water and makes steam in a second system. After transferring its energy, the water is pumped back to the reactor vessel to be reheated and reused. The non-radioactive steam from the steam generator spins turbines that drive the generator to produce electricity. Let's go inside the plant. First, we pass through security, then enter the turbine building. On the ground floor, you see 4 large insulated pipes that bring the steam from the reactor building to drive the turbine generator. Feed water pumps that return water to the steam generators are also seen here. As we walk by the turbines, you can see they are attached to a generator at the end, near the switchyard. It is about the size of a city bus and provides enough electricity to power nearly 700,000 homes. The Unit 2 turbines and generator look much the same as Unit 1 because the work to refurbish the generator and replace the internal components of the turbines is complete. The control room at Watts Bar is like the cockpit of an airliner, with the licensed operators serving as the flight crew. These operators have the responsibility to assure that the operation of the plant puts safety first. The fact that Unit 2 is currently under construction gives you a unique opportunity to see inside the containment, a location nuclear plant visitors rarely get to see. We enter containment through a personnel hatch that allow easy access for construction workers. Although getting into the lower containment area is relatively easy, working in the cramped and crowded area is much more challenging. In the upper containment area, you see the equipment pit surrounding the top of the reactor vessel, as well as the reactor vessel head and the ice condenser. About 3 million pounds of borated ice, maintained in baskets, are housed in the ice condenser, which condenses steam in an emergency situation. Back outside, you can see the emergency diesel generator building elevated on a hill. This houses 4 backup generators to sustain power during a loss of off-site power. Next, you see the cooling towers. Most people think these are unique to nuclear power facilities. That is an urban myth. The TVA even uses cooling towers at one of their fossil fuel plants, where they burn coal. The towers are used to cool the water that condenses steam from the plant. Although distinctive and massive, cooling towers are really just big chimneys. Water from the cooling tower is circulated through the main condensers to cool and condense the steam from the turbines. When the warm water returns from the condenser, it is sprayed inside the lower portion of the cooling tower, where it falls to the basin below. As it falls, air cools the water. This warm, moist air rises through the cooling tower due to the chimney effect of the 500-foot-tall tower. When it comes out the stack, it may look like smoke, but it's really just a cloud of water vapor. That concludes our look at Watts Bar. TVA's approach to nuclear power generation is much more restrained than it once was. In the 1960s, TVA proposed the construction of 17 nuclear reactors in the valley. Today, 6 of those original 17 nuclear reactors are operating. TVA now undertakes a more conservative, disciplined approach to nuclear development, working only on one construction project at a time. Only after work on one plant is complete does work begin on the next. TVA's plants are designed to withstand man-made and natural events such as floods, earthquakes, fires, tornadoes, and terrorist activities. TVA's nuclear plants have systems, equipment, and procedures in place to prevent or mitigate the kinds of events that occurred in Fukushima, Japan. Safety is TVA's highest value. TVA plants are designed, built, and operated with the safety of the public and the workers as the overarching priority. TVA is focused on being a leader in technological innovation, low-cost energy, and environmental stewardship. This approach is a catalyst for new jobs and economic growth, just as it was in the 1930s. We hope this tour has given you a first-hand view of the emphasis TVA places on safety, quality, and security.